Better late than never is what they say. Better late than never. I don't know.
You mean 24 hours late, or you
20
mean 5 minutes late?
Oh, now you're being a smart ass. Okay. Okay, I see. I see what you did there, buddy. I see what you did.
I'm just asking.
No, it's okay. I get it. I'm 24 hours and 4 minutes late. Oh. Welcome to a special Tuesday edition of Inside Texas, brought to you by the Medical Arts Clinic, right there in Bay City, Texas, on 12. I come home and my senile dog just barks at anything.
Oh
Stares at
no!
the wall, looks at Lydia and starts barking. I don't know what's going on.
Oh man!
But anyway, I have news for you, Mitch.
Tell me.
We've been invited to do the show at La Casona.
Oh, all right.
And be fed.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
And you can bring your lovely wife. See, now your wife doesn't have an excuse not to cook for you on a Monday night.
There you go. There you go. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was asked tonight about it, and I said, yeah, okay. We can do it over there. We got a couple things we need to set up over there first, but we're going to do it from over there. So Jesus and the crew, or Chewy, what they call him, Chewy and the crew. He's the fat Mexican that runs that place. He invited us to come over there and do it. So
okay,
we're going to help out business a little bit. I did get a couple new things. I just talked to you about the radio station. We made a lot of changes on the radio station.
Right. Yeah.
We're still been working on and making them on Gulf Coast One Radio. Also, there's some updates on some of the tabs for this upcoming year as far as hurricane information goes, hurricane help, weather information, tide conditions is the new update that's been on there. I got with the state and they sent me their new update. So we have that for the more accurate tide conditions, especially during storms.
Right.
That will have more of an accurate figure on what's going on with that. And a couple other things. We're going to have 3 or 4 new sponsors coming up in the next month.
That sounds good
as well for the show. So a lot of people see the show. A lot of folks don't watch it live right away. They'll watch it a day or two later. And we appreciate you guys that come on and get the information that we.
Right. Oh
provide.
yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, a couple things rolling with this show. High school football, they're already talking about. We're getting that lined up for Tidehaven football this year.
Man, I love that. That is good.
Yeah, so Tidehaven football getting lined up there. Also, the church, the one down in Wadsworth here that we go to, their Sunday service is going to be on the website as well.
Okay.
So, and that will be live on the website, just like we do this show, and then you can go back and play it later. We're going to do the same thing on the website. So I'm working with those folks as well. And I got to get with
you have been busy. No wonder you have been busy.
It don't stop. It just doesn't stop. It just keeps going and going and going and going. So
I get that.
Are we making money? No. No. Absolutely, positively not. No, but we're going to invite some.
No money, but we're
spreading the love.
All right. I like spreading love.
Yeah, we're spreading love.
Speaking of love, I wonder, you think about, I just emailed you, think about the radio station getting a booth at the hurricane seminar coming up on the 8th.
I would love to, but I'm not going to be here.
Oh, you told me that, didn't you?
On the 10th.
Okay.
Yeah, the 10th. I'm actually from the 10th to the 17th. I won't be here.
Oh, okay.
And I wanted to do that so bad. And then when I found out the date, I'm like, gee, man. So if we could, I don't know. I might be able to set some. I'm going to give you some cards, for you to hand out. Okay. People talk about the show and this and that and the website. But man, yeah, next year I got to, because I love doing that, especially with the that particular show, that particular thing that's going on the 10th.
Right.
Once again, if you don't know what we're talking about, it is the emergency services show up and they show off their new stuff and things, communications, all kinds of stuff. And it's a great thing if you stay up to date on how to communicate with like Mitch or emergency service or things like that. And man, it's freaking awesome. I loved it. I remember we did it years ago in the park WCJC, and we had the weathermen down there from Victoria. And
right. That was back when Pat Curry was in town with the Red Cross.
Yes.
And LEPC. Now LEPC will have there'll be a player on Saturday. Of course, Matagorda County Judge Amanda, she's running it. A lot of inside booths, a lot of outside booths, a lot of information, free breakfast, free lunch. Registration starts at 8. We'll start the programs about 9 o'clock and be finished about 2.
Right.
And I just emailed you kind of the lineup. A lot of it's still coming together, but AEP Texas will be in. I saw V Strauss that signed up for a booth. So a lot of information about hurricane awareness, refresher for those that went through it, but we may have some new people. I imagine the sergeant folks are going to be paying very close attention to the hurricane season this year.
Yes,
certainly those along the coast. We'll talk a little bit about evacuation and what does that mean. We'll also talk a little bit about Jeff, as we have on this show, Jeff. I plan on talking a little bit about why self-evacuate.
Yes.
Not wait on the judge to order an evacuation. I know one of the questions on Facebook during Hurricane Beryl was, well, why didn't you tell us to leave?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
You can go without being told to go.
Here's the deal Nice always said about that. We talked about this a couple of times.
We did.
If you feel unsafe where you're at.
Yeah.
Okay. If you feel unsafe where you're at, or you're not 100% sure of the weather forecast or how your house will hold, it depends on what kind of house you live in too. You live in a trailer, it's a different story. It's a whole lot of things. But take some common sense in the ground and say, man, I don't want to be here. I don't want to find out how bad it's going to be or how bad it's not going to be. The best thing, especially when you live along the Gulf Coast, is to, I don't care if it's a Category 1 storm, even some tropical storms, get up 60, 70 miles an hour. Get out of Dodge, get out of town, have a plan ready where you're going to go, who you're going to meet with, and also these folks, again, and I emphasize this, and we talked about this a lot too, the folks that are unable to move around easily, able to get up out of your chair in a wheelchair with a walker. You need to go to the website, gcor1.com, and on there where it says emergency, I think it's on there, emergency service information, get yourself signed up for, I can't think of the name of it. What is it, Mitch?
It's functional needs. Anybody, I forget the acronym.
Yeah.
Stream or something like that.
Yeah. So sign up for it. Even if you think, man, there's people worse off. No, if you're using a walker, wheelchair, have a breathing device, anything, sign up for it, because those are the first places that the first responders are going to go to get you out of there. They're not going to come if you don't not signed up.
Well, and they will take care of you before the event, because once the wind speeds gets above 45 miles an hour, all of our first responders hunker down.
Yes.
And so the idea that that during the event you're not going to be able to, nobody's going to come save you during the event.
Right.
Once it hits 45 miles an hour, protocol and the rules call for all first responders to seek shelter themselves, because we can't be sending people out into dangerous situations.
Right. People got to realize.
The other thing too that I'm going to stress.
Go ahead. No,
the other thing I'm going to stress is that happened during Beryl is you had all of these people, just numerous people that kept calling us up going, my power went out and I have this breathing machine that I have to have. So and when and then you start looking at the outages and the poles are down and the wires are on the ground.
Yeah.
And it's and the tree limbs are everywhere, like in Sargent. You're not going to get power in the next hour.
No.
You're not going to get power. And so people that think that it's just flipping a switch to put your power back on, it could be days and days and days. So I'm going to spend a 30-minute segment on if you don't feel like you can spend 5 days without power and being uncomfortable, being hot, being irritable, not being able to heat up food, not being able to have if you don't feel like you can stand 5 days without power, then self-evacuate. Find a buddy somewhere, find a family member, find somewhere inland to go so that you can survive and you can be comfortable. Let's put it that way. But if you feel like you can be uncomfortable, like we did during Beryl for 5 days with no power, then stay. But then don't start bitching and moaning and complaining because your power's been out a day or two or three or four. And just like in Houston, they start threatening the CenterPoint Energy guys. That's poor planning. That is very short-sighted planning. So if you don't feel like, if you feel like you're going to be uncomfortable, if you feel like you need ice and water and air conditioning and somewhere to charge your phone up, then self-evacuate. And I'm going to spend some time on that. It might upset people. But the idea of calling into the Emergency Operations Center to tell us when there was virtually 100% of Matagorda County was without power, and there may have been some power on the further western edges of Matagorda County, but for the most part, when Bay City, Sargent, Matagorda was completely without power, and then you're calling up saying I've got an emergency because I don't have power. That's poor planning. And so if you're in need of comfort, if you're in need of ice and water and food, and you didn't prepare, then we'll do the best we can. But your lack of preparedness does not necessarily mean it's an emergency. Everybody wants to be taken care of. And those people that 6 hours after the hurricane hit kept wanting to know where your FEMA card was, well, let's just figure there's not going to be a FEMA card. And FEMA is going to come in, but it's going to be 3, 4, 5 days after the hurricane. And so that's the idea of being able to take care of yourself, being able to take care of your family, and maybe even your friends and neighbors around you. And the easiest way to do that is to self-evacuate before the hurricane ever hits. But that's not what people do. People, 30 minutes after the hurricane, they start wanting to know why we're not handing free water and free ice and meals, and where am I going to eat tonight, and where's my FEMA card? And I'm just going to tell you that now during a hurricane or 5 minutes after the hurricane passes, we're going to do everything we can to help you. But I'm telling you right now, if you ask me that in May, I'm going to tell you that you're making poor decisions. One of the things it takes the state days to ship us ice and water and 18-wheeler full of food. It takes days, 2 to 3 days. And so that's the reason we tell you to have a hurricane kit.
Yeah, don't be so damn dependent on. I mean, you got to think that these people that are helping you or trying to help you, they're living in the same storm you are.
I know. We didn't have power at home. That's exactly right.
Oh, and you got families you need to take care of as well,
Yeah,
And
that's right.
And the other thing is you got to remember all your firefighters and stuff. They're non-paid employees. They're out there
Right.
risking their lives to
Yeah,
do
they are.
whatever it is. Most of the time for stupidity, and they're going to get hurt because of a bad decision you made. That's not cool, man. That's just so don't do it. And I know a lot of people say, "Well, Jeff, you're a little harsh about what you said." You know what? So what? Wake up, smell the roses, man. It's not. Listen, there's nobody has a dog leash on you and says you got to do this, you got to do that. You got to think for yourself, man. Don't let other people do the thinking for you.
Please.
Hell, if I did that, I'd be buried 20 years ago in the ground. Just depending on the people. I ain't doing it. So you got to depend on get prepared now. I mean, the National Weather Service puts out a preparedness thing. It's very simple. It's on my website as well. You can go there to National Weather Service, and the whole thing is there for storm preparedness. It's there.
And you just had a tax-free weekend. You could have purchased anything you needed during your tax-free weekend.
We mentioned about Andy on the weather forecast puts on little things about, like update your generator, get your generators fixed. Don't wait until the hurricane gets here to fix that. And I'm not just saying that because I'm in that business. Don't wait till the last minute to fix, because it's going to be the same thing. You're waiting for a FEMA card, you're going to wait for your generator because it's going to be up.
So you're telling me you can't fix 16 of them every hour on the hour?
Well, I could, but I don't want to. No. We ain't going to do that. Last time we got able. No, you got to get parts, And people say, well, you don't have parts for that? Do you know how many different parts there are? Unbelievable. Then they're coming from China, and then you got to wait for them, So the soonest you're going to get, and then when a hurricane comes, they don't make deliveries in a hurricane zone for a week or two until it's cleared out. So, it's just, you got to think a little bit, guys. You got to think a little bit and say, hey,
Yeah, you do.
All right, geez, man. But anyway, all right.
All right. Coming up, Jeff, we had an election on Saturday the 3rd.
Yes, we did.
We have new city council member. Susan Reardon won. You remember that's Becca Sitz's position. She's term limited. Susan Reardon ran for, along with Corey. I was going to say Cory Booker, but that's not correct. My mind just went completely blank. Sorry, Corey. I just saw you the other Saturday. But anyway, Corey McCray. And Susan came out on that. There was also 3 amendments to the charter. Amendment number 1 did pass, and that was to fix a mistake in the terms, unintended consequences of the last charter election meant that we had 4 out of the 6 council members and mayor up for re-election. And so 4 out of 6 is a little awkward, because you could have 4 brand new people coming in and only 2 experienced. And so they're going to take the 6 positions and fix those to where every year it's 2 are coming up. So next year, it may take several years to get it done. And that passed, realignment of terms. And then, surprisingly to me, the charter allowing for only 1 city council meeting a month instead of the 2 that are mandated. The charter called for 2 meetings a month, and with this charter review election results, it will revert to 1. So the county, on the other hand, they do 4 every Monday. There are a lot of nonprofits that do 1 time a month. I know the Port of Bay City does 1 time a month. Navigation District does 1 time a month, but the city.
What about Palacios?
Palacios, I think, is a couple of times a month as well.
Okay.
But the city, there was a chart. I don't remember. They named several cities. I think Port Lavaca maybe was one that was once a month. But It will probably. I mean, I don't know what to expect. I would imagine if you're taking the work that you're doing on 2 different nights a month and add it to one, it may elongate the meeting. But we'll see. But the voters spoke and they said, okay. The one that did not, the third one that did not pass, was having the city manager live within the county versus live within the city limits. And so currently our city manager does live outside the city limits. So I'm assuming that she will make arrangements to have a Bay City residency. Texas residency laws are very, 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 very lax, are very easy to accomplish, I guess would be another way to look at it. So that's it for the city. Our school board, we have a new school board member. Mr. Eaton ran successfully against Ms. Kraft and the incumbent. And so we'll have a new voice on the school board.
Right.
Looking forward to that. I did see not an election, but I did see where the school board has named Townsend, Mr. Townsend, as interim superintendent. Used to be a neighbor of mine, and I know him very well. Very capable, been in the school systems forever. And been here in Bay City, was in Van Vleck, taught for years, and does have the qualifications to become a superintendent. But he will become the interim superintendent, and Dwight McHazlett's last day will be June the 30th.
Yeah. So by the way, just a quick message on the what'd you say? Say his name again.
Townsend?
Super Townsend.
Oh, Dwight McHazlett. Yeah.
No, Mr. Townsend. Talking about him. I know him very well as well.
Yeah.
And
yeah, he's been around forever. He's lived here. He lives here. He's very active in the community.
Great family. I know his wife. I know him. I know the kids, his kids. In fact, I just seen him a couple nights ago. They were at La Casona and talked to him. I shouldn't say a couple nights ago. It was about 2-3 weeks ago before this deal. But he's very associated with the kids. Very. I've done so. He's called me a couple occasions to help him out with parties and stuff like that, and we did. And just a very good, sociable, likable guy, and you know, down to earth. You're not going to be surprised at anything that he throws at you or says to you. I can tell you that he's just. I think he'd be a really, really good superintendent for Bay City. I really do. He did a lot while he was over at Van Vleck. I can tell you that. And, you know, he wanted to make the move from over there to Bay City. We talked a little bit about that. And I just think maybe overall he could be the permanent superintendent here. I think it would be a wise choice. It's somebody that's familiar already with our area. He's familiar with the kids. He's familiar how everything works in Matagorda County or Bay City. So to bring somebody in from outside would, you know, unless he didn't want it, but I wouldn't see why he would. But I'm just saying, knowing the guy, knowing the guy, that would be a perfect guy for the job.
Yeah. So interim, and so there will be, you know, there are laws that you have to, and I'm not up on picking a school superintendent law, but but I believe in, you know, very, very familiar with the ISD trustees, and I trust that they will do their due diligence and pick just the right person that they feel like can take us through growth. I'm hoping with all of these subdivisions, I'm hoping there is a growth spurt there for our kids. We certainly need to pay very close attention to the education. Of course, we still have the Palacios ISD. They have their brand new school superintendent on board. And we've got Matagorda ISD now has a full first grade through high school. Then Van Vleck, of course. Then you've got Tidehaven. We just mentioned them earlier, Tidehaven ISD. And then don't forget Holy Cross. We recognize Holy Cross as being a part of the education here in Matagorda County. And I think they've got a new principal coming on board, if I understand right. So a lot of change in education.
Yeah, Palacios has a new. I believe they have a new superintendent as well.
She's I'll say newish. She's been on board 6 or 8 months now. I think she opened the school. Dr. Chapman moved on, and she came in and really have enjoyed working with her. We do, as you well know, Jeff, we do the Industry Education Alliance meeting, and her and all of the superintendents were there. We heard from the Gulf Coast Workforce Board. Our local Workforce Solutions office does a great job. What I told them was, they all do a really, really good job locally, but they don't have the decision-making power that the board of directors does. And so I was on the board a little bit about coming out and introducing themselves to us, and let's get to know them, because there are things I need to talk to the board about, not the office. Just makes sense. Because of the power that be, they the offices are given their edicts, and there are things that I want to see changed personally. We want to see. Mike Ferdinand has now been named to the Gulf Coast Workforce Development Board as a board member. Glad to see that. Happy to see that. So we're moving in the right direction, and that's just one more area that we need to get involved. We've been isolated, Jeff. I'm going to say this in a loving way, but we've kind of isolated ourselves. We've been working so hard for growth and so hard for building a community. We worked so hard on retail, housing. We've worked so hard on so many of the different aspects, quality of life, beautification, education going on. And we kind of woke up and think, okay, well, what about all the Texas Water Development Board flood money? And then we realized, well, that's Region 10. We're not involved with Region 10. We need to be. Mike Ferdinand and Jessica and the judge have gotten very active in that. We had, for the very first time, our flood plan. We've never had a countywide flood plan. We have one now, thanks to the county and the EDC. We submitted that to Region 10, and they accepted it. That's 5 flood control projects. There's no money for it, but you never were granted money without having a plan on file. We never had a plan on file. Everybody kept wanting flood money, but we never did what was necessary to get that money, and that's file a state plan, engineering plan.
Mitch, can I have $10 million, please? Can I have $10 million?
You can. You do need a lot of flood control.
I need $10 million. I was hoping you'd say, well, if you give me a plan, I'd give you $10 million. See, that's how it works.
I got you. Well, without a plan, you don't get it.
That's right. You don't get
but. And then Region K, you were looking around, we were very active in Region K when it was more controlled out of the LCRA, Lower Colorado River Basin Authority. But Region K has a life of its own. If we're wanting additional water rights, we've got to be going to Region K. So we're starting that process of getting involved in Region K, getting involved in the Workforce Development Board. There are a lot of entities outside our county limits that we need to be best friends with. I don't know how you do TWIA. I just saw where they voted for another ungodly amount of reinsurance, which is, I think, overkill.
Yeah.
But anyway, so there's a lot of work going on. We're now getting established in other areas, which unfortunately means we have to travel. It's just like I went to the lower Colorado River Basin. Jessica Russell and I went to testify, and it's a 3-hour drive. We sat in a room for 2 hours, spoke for 3 minutes, and then drove 3 hours back. When the Central Texas Water Coalition folks are 20 minutes from their house. Big difference. We're on the road 6 hours. They're on the road 40 minutes round trip.
Yeah.
But we've got to do it, folks. We've got to get out there and get busy.
Hey, by the way, just to say this real quick, I want to let people know that Mitch and I are not connected at the hip. So when Mitch does a cake walk, or did you do a cake walk or did you do a cake auction? Which one did
cake
you do?
auction?
Did something. Cake auction. Okay.
Cake auction.
I don't have to be there with him. Just saying. I know everything Mitch does all week long because they all come and say, well, you and Mitch, I just saw Mitch out there. You weren't there with him.
Oh.
No, I had 3 people come up to me and said, we're at that cake auction.
Okay.
And said, oh, I thought you were going to be there because they said Mitch was coming to do the cake auction. We figured you'd be there. So why would I be there at the cake auction? No, we're not connected at the hip. I just want to let folks know that I'm in Matagorda right now. He's in Bay City.
Yeah. Well, Thursday night, well, tomorrow night, I am going to the graduation of the Matagorda Youth Leadership Group. 23 kids are graduating their leadership. They've been studying for 9 months, and they will get their graduation certificate tomorrow night. I will be there. And then Thursday night, I will not be at the Tenaris scholarship reception. Irene Bishop is going to attend because former Judge Nate McDonald and I are doing an auction for the Boys and Girls Club in Palacios.
Yeah.
So a lot of people ask me, from time to time, why I'm not in the office, and the answer is because the work's out in the field. The real work is with people.
Yes.
Not sitting behind a desk. That doesn't move Bay City forward.
Yeah, that's why it's called public information officer. You got to be in the public.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Hey, I got a question for you. This has to do with the state. Was there a tax hike or a voted on tax hike on property tax?
No. No, not in that regard. So there's a lot of bills. It may be what you're talking about. A couple of bills that are aimed at so that the appraisal process sets the appraisal of our properties. So that's a semi-state run. You still have some local flavor. Vince Maroney runs the Matagorda Appraisal District. And then tax rates are set by all the taxing entities. And there is a push. There is legislation restricting how much entities can go up. So, yes, there was a tax vote per se on limiting cities and counties' ability to raise our tax rates. Which is a good and a bad thing. But if you're in a growing rural county and there's needs, like every commissioner has millions and millions of dollars worth of needs, having the state restrict that really makes me mad, because I vote for county people. I vote for city people. I vote for the majority of them, right?
Right.
But I only vote for one state rep out of the 150, and I only vote for one out of 31 senators. So why do I want everything being ran from the state level? I only get to vote for a state rep and a senator, whereas I'm voting for everybody locally. I'm voting for my county commissioner. I'm voting for my county judge. I'm voting for the sheriff. I'm voting for all the other state countywide elections, and then city. We're voting. They're all at large, so we're all voting for that. They ran unopposed, but I did vote for every city council position. So I get a little upset with that. Now, I did write down here, Jeff, that the Senate did pass, which is amazing, increase our, let me see where that is. There's a lot going on. But the reached a deal on more than $3 billion for property tax relief. Okay. And what it's going to, and the way they're going to do it is the homestead exemption. If you'll remember right now, our homestead moved from 20,000 to 40,000. Well, they're talking about now homestead exemption up to $140,000, which would significantly drop the taxes I pay here at my house. I don't know what it's appraised at, certainly over 140, but and so that would be, and then exemption for property owned by businesses is increased from 2,500 to 125,000. Right. I think that's a significant increase. I mean, to go from $40,000. So, and what is a homestead exemption? It's where you take your appraised value and subtract $40,000, and you pay taxes on the lesser amount. So the same thing will happen if it lets. I'm just going to make a number up. I don't think my house is worth. I don't want Vince Maloney to. I don't want him to hear me say that it's worth too much. Let's just say let's admit to 150,000. If that's the case, $150,000, and I subtract 140, I'm paying tax on $10,000, which is pretty unique. I'm for that. Yeah. Abbott takes a voucher victory lap. So we talked a lot about vouchers. We've talked a lot about school finance. And let me tell you what happened. Do you remember we talked about this 2 years ago? And then the governor said, I'll give you school finance if you give me vouchers. Well, vouchers failed. And he failed 2 years ago, over 2 years, to provide any additional monies to our ISDs. Well, then what I heard and from the Republican Party was if we get school vouchers, school funding is next, almost tied together. The House tied it together. The House tied that together. It has not transpired. So school vouchers passed. The Senate passed the House. They had a reconciliation. It went to the governor's office, and he signed it the other day. And so school vouchers will become the law of the land. Where is school finance, you ask? Well, school finance is passed in the House, but held up in the Senate. Jeff, I'm not sure that the Senate is going to pass the $8 billion increase for school funding. If that doesn't happen, that's a broken promise in my world.
Yeah.
That's a broken promise. So you held school districts and teachers hostage for school vouchers. You got your school vouchers. You got everything you asked for in school vouchers. And now all of a sudden you are holding up school finance. $8 extra billion earmarked for teachers' salaries and more money for the ISDs. Now, remember, the ISDs haven't had a significant increase since 1997.
Yeah.
That's a long time. There's been some minor adjustments. Yeah, there's been some minor adjustments, but not significant. This is significant.
30 years. That's 30, almost 30 years.
And look, Jeff, remember, I'm the one of the things I'm pissed off most about is your school vouchers. You're going to get $10,000 a kid to take your kid to a private school, But if you leave them at the ISD, they're going to get $6,600 unless this finance bill passes. Now, I will tell you that AJ Louderback is all over this, as well as our senator. She understands. She's pushing for both vouchers and school finance. AJ allowed, now remember, AJ allowed school vouchers because the House also passed the finance, the additional funding of that. And so and time's running out, ladies and gentlemen. You got 27 days left, maybe 26 days left in the session.
Right.
So let's just say I will be questioning. I'll just say it. I'm going to question the leadership in the Senate if we don't get school finance passed as promised. I hope that the governor will honor his pledge. I'm sure he will, and push the Senate to get that. Let's just put it in perspective. The voucher bill signed, it was worth $1 billion. So let me rephrase it. $1 billion of my money, Jeff's money, your money out there listening and watching us now will go to private schools and charter schools and to locations where the parents have a choice. Now, do I believe in parent choice on education? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I had a choice. I told y'all this a million times. When we moved from Nacogdoches to Fort Bend County, I asked the kids, what school do you want to go to? They told me what school they wanted to go to. That's the area that Carolyn and I looked for houses. And we bought a house. I told the real estate lady, don't show me a house anywhere other than in Foster High School territory. So I had a choice. Now that's drastic to ask people to move, but anyway, the other thing that I want to see, there was 60 businesses, industry leaders that signed a letter that sent to the and I supported it. They didn't ask me to sign it. This is CEOs of major corporations asking the legislature, particularly the Senate, that if when we do school vouchers, or now that we've done school vouchers, is hold those campuses, those organizations that is accepting the money from the state also has to meet the TEA guidelines. So I want some accountability. If I'm going to give a school $100,000, 10 kids, $100,000, I expect for those 10 kids to get a better, as well or better education than in a public school.
Yeah.
Okay. But I also expect some accountability. I don't want you to tell me little Johnny did really, really good. Did he take a test? No, he didn't take a test, but he's doing really, really good. Okay. Well, I can't define really, really good. As a future employer, I want to make sure my future employees are learning what they need to know.
Yes.
I don't think it's too much to ask these schools that accept state money to also have to accept the accountability.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be a STAR test, and it doesn't have to be some form of accountability approved by the TEA. I'm not going to write what it has to be. Our kids have to pass the STAR test. I'm pretty sure I'm right about that.
You're right.
I don't have kids these days, but
yeah, no, they got to do the STAR test.
Okay, so Abbott's taking a victory lap. He had a big signing on the steps of his house. A lot of people screaming and hollering and so joyous and happy. Let's make sure that we get as excited about the $8 billion that needs to go to our teachers. So
yeah, why couldn't we do that first? Why couldn't have that been done? That, you know what, that the whole voucher thing would have went a whole lot easier if you say, this is what we're gonna do. We're going to give the $8 billion to our teachers. All the teachers get raises. Now we're going to work on the vouchers. Why couldn't they do that first?
Well, I would just say my answer is that's not the way the leaders in the legislature chose to do business.
Yeah, it's stupid.
It would have been a lot easier. The House did, Jeff. The House did. It's the Senate. Where does the Senate live? The Senate lives with Dan Patrick, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, and so that is
Let me ask this question. Do you think there's a lot of schools who get a lot of grants? Okay, and that's not a state grant; that's a federal grants to do things. Okay, like for building, for equipment and things like that. Do you think the governor looks at that and says, "Well, beings are getting these grants, we don't need to, let the school districts dig up their own money. They're getting these grants, and we don't have nothing to do with the grants. Nothing. State grants. We don't give no."
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure somebody does. I'm not sure if it's the governor. I'm sure somebody's looking at that. Really, how our finances and the school systems work is based on the discriminatory lawsuit that was filed, Brown versus Education,
right?
Where they determined that balanced, basically, a state allotment per child, whether you're in the richest school district or the poorest school district, it's supposed to be even funding, which turns out to be not enough for the poor districts. And because the rich districts, they can just keep assessing amounts to the parents, and the parents pay it, kind of like this voluntary thing. So it's not equal at all.
Yeah.
Now it's going to be unequal. I foresee a lawsuit that says the child that stays in the ISD is worth $6,600, but the child that goes to a private school or a charter school gets $10,000. Where's the equality in that?
Right.
So I see a lot of problems.
Well, I'm going to go about and build a private school.
Well, and I think that's what you're going to, unfortunately, that's what you're going to see. A lot of people doing it. But in the next probably 25 days, you're going to start hearing about bills dying. Because I don't have the schedule in front of me, but if you've got a bill that's not been heard in committee by X date, it dies. So it's got to come out of a committee by a certain date. It's got to be read a second time in the Senate and the House, or it dies.
Right.
And so a lot of bills. Now, the legislature is designed, our Texas Constitution is designed to kill bills, not pass bills. It's clearly that way. So bill dying isn't a bad thing. Don't get me wrong, unless it's your bill that you're trying to get passed. So there's going to be a lot of angst out there because there's going to be a lot of bills. I think it was over 8,200 bills were filed. Remember, the session's 140 days. You can't do anything for the first 40 days of that 140 days unless it's geared to the emergency items that the governor gave you. Right. So you have 100 days really to get all 8,200 bills read through a committee. They're gonna die. I mean, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of bills are gonna die, and it's by design. But a couple of things that's coming up. The city of Bay City did send a letter of support for the hydrogen tax credits. I'm going to switch gears on you a little bit, Jeff. HIF is looking toward the federal government through this funding plan, and they're trying to get the tax credits extended for hydrogen. And that's important. I guarantee you it will help HIF. And there may be an opportunity for us. I wanted to say this. I've had a call with their leadership today, and it may be that there is an event out there or some communications where we ask the public to contact, particularly Senator Cornyn and Senator Cruz, asking them in the Senate, the U.S. Senate, to support the hydrogen tax credits. It will help get HIF up and off the ground, 4,000 construction jobs, almost 200 full-time jobs. And it will really, it's a $8 billion project. So a lot of money coming to Matagorda County. I had a conversation again with their leadership, and they're talking about being able to use local businesses as much as possible. So much like Tenaris boosted our economy to great heights, HIF will do the same.
Yeah.
And so there's more to come on congressional hydrogen tax credits. But I wanted to throw that out there, Jeff, that we may be getting involved. I was proud to see the city pass a letter of support for hydrogen tax credits. And I think we will really have that opportunity moving forward.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, I wanted to show this to the folks. I sorry it popped up here a second ago. But you know, everybody was saying, man, it ain't going to rain. It ain't going to rain. We're not going to get. I want to pop this radar up here real quick. Hang on.
Yeah, I've been watching it all day.
Yeah, it's been staying to the north mostly, but now it's starting to drift.
Yeah, but it was coming down this afternoon when I was watching it. Yeah, it was coming down pretty good.
Yeah. So
let me see that. Let me get my glasses. So
yeah, the line,
how far away? About an hour away from Bay City?
Yeah, about an hour away from it coming down. There are some severe storm cells in there to let everybody know. I just shared the screen. That's why it comes up so doggone small. But
yeah,
there are some severe storms within that line. We're going to keep an eye on it tonight. And it just in case anybody is worried or whatever about it.
Well, I was pretty worried yesterday coming back. I was driving into town, Jeff. Of course, I've been on a cruise. I had no idea, and I'm driving into town. I'm watching the lightning strike everywhere, and we got just about to Mihop or Vibrance coming in on 60 North, and that's when the rain and the hail hit. I couldn't see a foot in front of me. Just luckily I pulled off the side. I was able to pull off the side of the road, and that was very disturbing to me. I can't find any dents in the truck. I've looked 2 or 3 times today, but it was coming down hard here in Bay City.
Yeah, my daughter got a cracked windshield on the car.
Carolyn was worried.
Yeah, Zoom Mart, and we were up in your old stomping grounds of Richmond yesterday.
Okay.
So, but anyway, I wanted to do the forecast. Has just been updated a little bit ago. I want to see if they put out. Hang on, I'll tell you in a second. No, they don't have the severe weather out yet. But severe thunderstorms, chances T-storms tonight. They'll go from 60 to 30%, but it'll stay there all night. And then tomorrow, severe thunderstorms, 70% chance of those. Wednesday night, 30% chance of T-storms. And then on Thursday, it goes from 30 back up to 50% again. Thursday night drops down to 20. And after we get away from this, it looks pretty clear. And with cooler temperatures at night, Friday night 61 and Saturday night 58. So temperatures going to drop. Daytime highs are going to drop as this cool front drops behind us. So
that's opening the window. That's saving money weather.
Yeah, so there you go. That's the forecast for now. And if Andy and I will be on later, if need be, if some of these storms turn severe. There was a tornado watch out for most of the day, just to the north of Bay City, part of Matagorda County, but that's all been dropped now. But we still have the chance for some hail, high winds, and some storms yet for tonight. I wanted to get it on there before I forgot about it.
Yeah, no, that's a good move because
and I've been watching because down here I get a thing that says, "Hey, rain coming within 2 hours. Rain coming within hour 45."
Yeah,
so
that. What storms did it say? 8 something. It was supposed to hit at 8 something.
Yeah, looks like right now about 9 o'clock. So it's about an hour away. Yeah. So, and they're not moving very fast because they're moving east, southeast, very, very slow. Just to let everybody. Another thing I wanted to bring up. We'll get away from the weather. Man, what was it? There was something else. God dug it. There was something else somebody asked me, and I'm not. It's not coming to my head. What was it? There was something asked us. I'm not sure. Okay, forget it. My brain just
until you figure it out. The conclave state. Yep. I'm not Catholic, but the conclave starts tomorrow to pick a replacement for Pope Francis. So
I saw it was going to be our president
tomorrow. Oh, the Texas House is scheduled to work all the way through Mother's Day weekend, and I told you that we're only 26 days left. So 7 days a week will not be a surprise. I did put out the state budget is out.
Yes,
and it's quite eye-opening when you look. So just general government is 3.42 billion. Health and Human Services over 10 billion. Public education and higher education 51 billion. Judiciary, they only get 144 million. That's bad. Public safety and criminal justice 2.3 billion. Natural resources 2.6 billion. Business and economic development 18 billion. Regulatory 5 billion. General provisions, just on and on and on and on. You know, $1 billion here and $1 billion there, Jeff. That's real money.
Yeah, it is big time.
Our money.
That's right.
Our money.
How about if they took all that money, put it all together, and divided it up with all the Texans? We'd have money in our pockets.
We'd have some money. Yeah. All right. So your homework is to watch the Senate next week.
That's right.
I am going to talk about now that the election is over. I'm going to remind folks about some election advertising laws through the Ethics Commission. Jeff, I'm going to put that on. If we don't do it next week, maybe the week after. I didn't want to tie it to the city election. I didn't want to get involved in that. But there are some laws on SPACs and GPACs and Political Action Committee. We're going to bring that up. I want to make sure that we're aware. I don't think anybody's doing anything wrong on purpose, but I do think that that we need to tighten that up a little bit in our world. Following the law, but that'll be a couple of weeks. I want plenty of time to after this election happens. But I want everybody. Your homework is to watch the Senate, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just in closing. I'm going to tell you this: if we don't get that $8 billion for school finance, it's going to be a crime against our kids. You got your vouchers. There was one particular donor that donated $11 million to Governor Abbott's campaign. 11, and he supports school vouchers. Now, my guess is, my daddy told me follow the money. My guess is he's parlaying that $11 million into $111 million because he's got a way to figure out how to get money from school vouchers. I hate to be a cynic. That's what I think. That's what I believe. But I'm telling you right now, it will be a crime if we don't get, if the Senate doesn't in the next week. I know there's 26 more days. But if they don't pass this in the next, if they don't pass it on the heels of that voucher bill and get it to the governor's desk, and I want him to have the same hoopla, the same people screaming and clapping and celebrating when he signs school vouchers, then by God, we ought to have the very same celebration for funding these schools. And I believe that with my whole heart. Now, there's nothing I can do other than expose the fact that it's in the Senate hands. We need to make sure that it gets passed.
Mark my words, the guy that gave the $11 million is going to open up private schools.
Yeah, I got it.
Just saying.
And collect that $10,000 a head.
There you go. I mean, he's going to put 11 million in and make what, 50 million back, maybe, or more.
Well, it's kind of like that company. It's kind of, I've been trying to keep up with the lottery. It's like the lottery selling every combination to that company, and they spent $20 million. I may have my numbers wrong, but they spent $20-30 million to win an $80 million pot.
Yeah,
I'd do that.
Sure.
But they bought every combination of number, spent $40 million, but they won $80 million.
But think about this. If someone else wins it, they have to split it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's okay
yeah.
if you're the only winner.
Yeah.
If someone else has that other number.
So the question is, was there shenanigans making sure they were the only winner?
Oh, it's true.
Because right now they're being investigated by the Texas Rangers.
Oh, really?
And the executive director quit.
Oh.
He hauled tail. He not in Austin anymore. He may be in Mexico City for all I know. I don't know. I'm just saying. But
he's in Chalupa.
Daddy always told me, follow the money, son. Follow the money.
Follow the money. You ain't kidding. Follow the money. You just get tired of hearing. You get tired of hearing this. It's like, I didn't put that guy in office to make that kind of decision. You know what I'm saying? You know, and that's happening a lot lately. A lot. You know, there's some stupid decisions on both sides which are really irritating. Really.
Well, I look at your legislators on both sides. They go in to the Congress broke. They make $174,000 a year.
Yep.
And they come 3 or 5 years later, they're multimillionaires.
I got a question for you. Who do you think is going to be the Democratic Party's leader to be president of the United States?
In 28?
Yep.
I think the forefront has to be Newsom in California. But Jeffries probably. I think Jeffries, the minority leader in the House.
Yeah,
I think he's probably up.
Do you know who's been speaking a lot lately?
Who?
Have you seen it?
No. Well, remind me.
Al Gore.
Oh no. Okay. Yeah, I think he's lost his prime.
He didn't say no when he was asked.
He's got to be what? 80s?
77. 77 years old. Yep.
Oh, okay.
He's 77. Yeah, because we.
Well, see, I think that the Democratic Party, and I think eventually the Republican Party, I think eventually all of us, Jeff, we're going to have to look at a generational change.
Yes.
I think it's time. I think there's time. Yeah. I'll just tell you, in my little world of the Lions Club, I am so thankful that we've got young men and women stepping up to lead the organization.
Yeah, no,
because it's been run by gray-headed old men way too long. Yeah. And I'll say the same thing about government. It's been run by the same people. You know, your Pelosi's, what's the Kentucky senator?
That
was there forever. Schumer, Schumer, Senator Schumer.
Look how long Thurgood was in there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. You couldn't force him out. He was, didn't he die?
I think he died in the office.
Yeah. He was in the office when he died.
Well, what was it? It wasn't Pelosi. It was the other one from California. And they had and unfortunately, they put the camera on her a couple of times, and her senator, her staff was telling her where to go and what to say. And I'll say this, and she didn't have a clue where she was.
No.
I forget her name, but she was from California. Oh, Feinstein.
Senator
Feinstein. She didn't know where she was.
Yep. No, we had when people get like that to the point where you got to lead them and let them know, and they're burnt, they're done. You know.
I know.
Actually, Lydia will tell you this. You remember the singer Ray Price, right?
Yeah.
Ray Price, oldie singer, had lots of #1 hits and stuff like that.
Okay.
So we had to do a concert one time where I was actually the MC for this concert for Ray Price, me and another guy. And we're sitting there at a table, and I turn and I look, and he's being spoon-fed by some young lady. And I'm like, wait a minute, what is going on here? It's ridiculous. And he's sitting there, and he always wore a blue suit, white shirt, and it was a blue suit, white shirt, a blue tie. And to walk over to him and say hi, he would just look up at you and nod his head like he was like gone, just out.
Right? Oh no.
And I'm like, this guy's going to do a concert here? He was already 85 or 84 at the time. Kid you not. This was up near Hopewell in Texas, Centerville, up that way. So it was a concert. And we sit there, and I'm watching this going on, and I'm like, I could not believe it. I couldn't believe it. They got him up on stage. They walked him up on stage. Curtain opened up. He didn't know what song he was going to do, and the drummer behind him would tell him, this is how it starts. And then he would go and sing the song like he knew the whole thing. You know? When he was done at the end, they closed the curtain. He didn't even know where he was. They had to walk him off the stage. No. You know, wow. And that's okay if you're a performer. But when you got to do thinking on critical things.
I know. You're making decisions every minute.
Yeah, I mean,
somebody's making decisions for you every minute.
Every minute. I mean, if you think
that's a question on Biden. You know, who ran the White House in the last year of his presidency?
Well, they said the same thing about Reagan at the end, where he started losing it a little bit. Yeah, I mean, he got dementia or whatever he had.
Yeah,
you know, or Alzheimer's. He couldn't remember things. Remember when the hearings were, and he didn't remember that. He didn't know this and that. You know, but anyway, yeah, you gotta. It's we need some young blood. We need some young blood. We need Kennedy blood in there, type blood in there. Get younger, smart, people that understand it, people that get it, and not just for themselves and their party.
That's right.
But for the country, you know.
Well, that would be great. That would be great if we could.
That's asking a lot, isn't it? That's asking a lot. Yeah, I know.
Especially with our current primary system.
Oh, Jesus.
Because the only people that can get elected are the far left, far right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Nobody.
And the centrists don't have a chance.
And when you talk about you're in the middle, they look at you funny.
You're a rhino.
They do.
Republican in name only. I know the moniker well.
Yep. It's ridiculous. Anyway.
All right, brother.
Okay. All right, you Republican loser. We're leaving. No, that's okay. Until next time. By the way, no show next week. We'll be back here on the 19th, and with an all brand new show to Monday night, and we'll probably be doing it live from La Casona Mexican Restaurant. We'll get together on it. I'll get together with you on that. We'll talk about that. Okay. On behalf of myself, Jeff Michaels, and the lovely and talented Mitch Thames, have yourselves a great week. We'll see you next time right here on Inside Texas.